Hi, welcome to Virtually Together. I'm Janelle Riley. We have a very special guest today, so I want to get right to it. Jennifer Morrison, you might know her from her work in so many great shows, from House to How I Met Your Mother to Once Upon a Time. Most recently, This Is Us. She's also done some amazing work behind the camera. You can see her short film, Warning Labels, online right now. The Tribeca Film Festival chose it as part of their short a day to keep anxiety away. Also, her film Sundogs is on Netflix. Anyway, we'll tell you all about this when we get to the interview, so let's just go right to it. Here's Jennifer Morrison. Jennifer Morrison, thank you so much for joining us today. You're one of the busiest people I know. You've been acting in movies, at least, since the age of 14. So what's it like, during this shutdown? How are you occupying yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think we all never imagined that it would take such a crazy, tragic event to slow down a little bit. It's I don't know. I don't know quite how to articulate it. I guess we're doing the best we can to make the best of a really bizarre situation. It's like, I think the first week we sort of had to accept that, like, there's nothing we can do about this. We can do the best we can to take care of ourselves and the people that we care about. And um, there's a helplessness that I think you feel in terms of not being able to really make that much of a difference. It's like you're reading about all these horrible things going on, and you feel like, I want to do something, but there's not a ton we can do besides stay home and try to stay healthy. So in line with that, we've just done our best to be home. And it's really the first time in my adult life I've had like a relationship with my home, because I'm never home. It's like I've never spent this much time. We've been mopping the floors and cleaning the nooks and corners, and I was like, wow, I just like know my house in a totally different way than I would have ever known my house. And also just having time with my boyfriend. We're not in two different cities, trying to figure out what time zone we're in and when we can Skype or FaceTime. So we've been making the most of having that time together, and cooking. And I've been doing a lot of like digging myself out of a pile of reading. I don't know if this happens to you and with work stuff, but I feel like I just get sent so much stuff that I feel like I can't say no to reading, either to consider as like a development project or as an actor, or can you give me notes on this, or there's a million reasons someone might ask me to read something. And so I spent the first while kind of digging myself out of that pile, which was sort of nice to kind of be like, oh, wow, I'm finally not behind on that. And then I've been developing a bunch of projects creatively. So we've been continuing to do that virtually. And I've been continuing to have creative meetings and things like that. So yeah, we've just sort of adjusted to a weird new normal, and kept as much moving forward as we possibly can, and done the best we can to try to stay healthy. And yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Is there anything, I don't know if you have time even now to read for fun or watch things for fun, but is there anything that, I'm watching a lot of escapism stuff. I'm trying not to watch anything too serious.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you could recommend?
Well, we've been kind of going a little bit the opposite route. Like I have been reading for pleasure after I got through my pile. I over the holidays, it was the first time in a while I'd gotten to read for pleasure, and I read Killing Commendator by Murakami, which I had never read any of his stuff before, and I really loved it. And so then I picked up IQ 84, which is 1,000 pages.
I've heard that's fantastic, though.
It's really good, though. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that I was going to be so into the kind of like magical realism thing that he does. He does it in a way that I just kind of give myself over to. So I'm 900 pages in, no, 750 pages into that. So I'm getting there on that one. But I've been really enjoying it. I feel like he writes in a very visual way, so you can sort of like see it as you read it. And then Jerry and I have been watching and rewatching tons of classic movies. So we've been kind of going back through like Brando's movies, and last week we did a Pakula week where we watched a bunch of Alan Pakula films, and this week we're doing Sidney Lumet. We're watching a bunch of Sidney Lumet films, and it's been something that's been nice because we look forward to that. Like we sit down on Sunday nights and we make our list for the week.
I think I saw Ava was enjoying Clute. Was that the one
Yes,
you posted?
you know, all of them while she gets belly rubs.
It's a great movie.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's fun to go back to look at those old movies, and it always gives me different ideas and inspiration as a filmmaker, and it also reminds me like how far we've come with certain things, especially the way we're writing for women and the way women are considered in storytelling and things like that. Because it a lot of these movies I watched for the first time, maybe 15, 20 years ago, and didn't have the same perspective as I was watching them. I was just kind of taking them in for the first time and be like, oh wow, how do you do that? And where do you put the camera? And it was just a lot to take in. And now that I'm kind of in a different headspace watching it and thinking about the way certain things have started to evolve and change, thank God, finally. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe anyone got away with talking about women like this or treating a woman like this. And it's just like it was normal back then.
So
These were
great.
like Academy Award winning films, and I was like, this is horrible. So it's interesting to watch at a different time in my life.
And I mean, in addition to being a very busy actor, we should mention that you are now and a very accomplished director. Your feature film debut, Sundogs, is still on Netflix, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
People can check it out there. And is it 4 or 5 years? Tribeca just put your short film, Warning Labels. I act like I don't know the name of it.
I know the book that you wrote called Warning Labels. You're funny. You're so professional, Janelle.
So professionally, can you hear my professional voice? But Tribeca put it on there. A short a day keeps the anxiety away. Kind of just in perfect time for the anniversary, because the pictures are showing up in my time hop
Oh no
of
way.
the premiere. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, they it premiered there, and out of the blue, we just got a call saying they wanted to include it in that. And I was so happy, and it was funny because I had not watched it in a long time, and kind of forgot that it was like about the CDC. So it was
That's
so
right.
easy while we were in the midst of a pandemic and a quarantine to then go back and be like, oh yeah, remember that crazy lab we were in, and like the CDC like spacesuit that Karen was in and maneuvering in that, and like it was just so wild. Even all of the lingo you had in there of like handling the globins and whatever.
Yeah, I figured that you could massage that, having been on, a medical
Right.
show for so many years.
Really,
You
I'm
would
super
figure out what
professional
sounded
about
real.
the globins.
Yeah, I totally made that stuff up. I'm actually surprised no one's ever called me on it. I am curious though, like something that really stands out to me about that, and it's hard to talk about it with like not trying to sound like proud or trying to take credit, because this is all
Wow,
you.
it's a great script.
Thank you. You put together the most amazing cast for that short, and it's something that actually a lot of your work that's reflected. You have these great ensembles. You're on, This Is Us right now, going back to House, going back to How I Met Your Mother, Once Upon a Time. I mean, what's the secret to a great ensemble like that?
Wait till you see One of Us Is Lying. I'm very proud of that cast. New youngcomers. I don't know how to explain how to find it. I don't know how to find like put words to finding that magic, but everything I've ever read by every director that I've ever loved always talks about 90% of directing is casting, and it's true. It's really, really true. And I think part of it is not getting caught up in the hype of any one actor and really casting the people who are right. Um, I remember there being like a pass of time with Sundogs where I started to get kind of wrapped up in like what all the agents were saying of like, you've got to go after this person or that person, and like, and I kept trying to rework it in my brain to make it work for this certain star to be Ned or whatever. And every time I could feel in my being, like, I was like, okay, no, I mean, I guess we could try to make that work. And it just wouldn't have been the same movie, And even once we had guys making tapes for Ned, there were really wonderful tapes that came in. I mean, really, I was blown away. Like, I wished I could have made 5 different versions of the movie just so I didn't have to say no to any of these people, because I just was so impressed with the tapes that they made. But even amidst these great tapes, Like Longrano just was Ned. He just was him. He was him. Like that was it. Was there was no like wondering. It was like that's him. That's the guy. And I think there's something to just trusting that when you feel that. You know, it's a little bit of a story from Sundogs, but when we were looking for locations, I swear this is going to make sense. It's going to seem like I'm taking a real left turn, but I swear this will make sense. So when we were looking for locations, you know, you go into this house and it's like, oh, well, this corner might work for this and this might work for that. And then it's like, and everything was just sort of like, maybe, okay. And like everything was about how we're going to have to kind of try to force it to make it work. And could we get enough production value out of it? So, you know, you have $0 when you're making a movie like that. So you have to hope that your practical locations are going to give you all your production value. And then we went into this house, which is the house we ended up using. And it was this woman, we always called it the cat lady's house because she had, no joke, like 15 cats. Like I'm like deathly allergic to cats. Like my makeup artist on House used to have a cat. She'd have to change her shirt before she did my makeup because if there was cat hair on her, my whole face would like explode. So but we go into the cat lady's house and it's amazing. I mean, it was like someone made the house for Sundogs. Like someone had read the script and then designed a house. And I mean, not only was the house perfect and like just so full of texture and nuance and all these things that were perfect. Her backyard had like a weird drawbridge and a moat. And we shot the Vietnam stuff in her backyard. And she had a tennis court where we could put lunch. I mean, it was like thing after thing after thing at this house. And so basically we were just like obsessed with the cat lady's house. And I took a shit ton of allergy pills while I was like shooting there for a week. But basically my whole life now is like, but is it as good as the cat lady's house? Like everything is that.
That's
like,
the bar.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, like when we were looking at actors for the pilot for One of Us Is Lying, I was like, yeah, but like they're not as good as the cat lady's house. And they're like, what do you mean they're not as good as the cat lady's house?
Cat lady.
Obviously I told the story. But then it becomes this shorthand of like, you know, whether it's a location or like the right fit with an actor or right fit even with the production designer or any department head, basically. It's like there are certain things that they like are the exact right puzzle piece. And even if you're like close, you still have to wait until it's as good as the cat lady's house.
That must have been so interesting being on the other side of the audition table for Sundogs. I mean, you've always had like a really good perspective on the audition process, but did that give you even more of an understanding that sometimes, well, a lot of the time it's just really not about you?
It's never about you. That's what's so crazy. I mean, it's really, I try so hard to impart that to all my actor friends who've not had a chance to be on the other side of it, to ease the pain of taking it personally, because, you know, I'm an actor and I love actors and I love great actors. And yet not always does the greatest actor or the most talented actor get the job, not because they don't deserve it or they didn't work hard for it. It's just not their job. Like they're just not the right je ne sais quoi. Like, what do you say? How do you know, there is an essence that certain people have. You know, we had a kid who came in, we liked him so much and he was so talented and he came in over and over and over for us for One of Us Is Lying. And he just wasn't one of the people in this show. Like it was like, I don't know how to put that into words. And I wanted to just like hug this kid and be like, you're gonna be a huge star. You're so good and you're so charismatic and you're so lovely. Like we kept trying to find places to put him just because we wanted him around, you know, like, and so him not getting the job had nothing to do with him, you know, and it wasn't like, oh, he wasn't as famous as someone else, or we weren't looking at people's Instagrams. There was no other factor. Like literally I threw out every other factor except for, does this puzzle work? You know what I mean? Like in terms of people's energies together. yeah, it's really just not about you. And it's also that thing of like, if it really is your job, you can't not get it. And if it's not your job, there's nothing you can do to get it. There's something a little bit fateful about that stuff.
I want you to, in like 5 years, tell this story and end it with like, and that young man was Leonardo DiCaprio. Or
Yeah, no, I
whatever
know.
Leonardo DiCaprio in 5 years is.
I hope that's true because he's really talented, this kid, and so lovely, and absolutely deserves so much success. And it just wasn't his show, you know.
For those of us who don't know, what can you tell us about One of Us is Lying? Did you get through
Um,
shooting the whole thing?
the pilot's done, and it's for Peacock, which is a new streaming service, the NBC Universal new streaming service, which I think came out or comes out or
Either it's like coming out this week or something. It's very soon.
yeah. And there hasn't been any like official announcements on things.
I
But
haven't heard anything. Yeah.
the rumors are, I mean, I know they're hiring a writer's room. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I can or cannot say officially. I haven't been given any like guidelines, but as far as I can tell, it seems like it's something the world will get to see. So,
Can you tell us what it's about?
knock on wood. Oh, it's based on the novel One of Us is Lying. It's a young adult kind of murder mystery that's been on it's been on the bestseller list for like 120 weeks or something crazy. And it's basically like if it's like a modern day Breakfast Club if one of the kids in detention died and the other four became suspects.
Oh, I am sold. That's like the best elevator pitch I've ever heard.
It's a good one. Like it's like literally like very clear.
I'm so bad at elevator pitches, so I'm so impressed when someone can get it down to like 20 seconds or less.
So yeah, I'm excited. And it's a great group of young actors that are all out of nowhere. I mean, we got to discover all these kids. It's so fun.
And you're directing on it?
I directed the pilot.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then hopefully come back to direct some more episodes?
Most likely. Yeah. We'll see what happens with my schedule. I'm doing another show for Peacock called Dr. Death that Patrick McManus is the showrunner on. And I don't know right now the cast is Alec Baldwin, Jamie Dornan, and Christian Slater. But obviously, we were supposed to be shooting it right now in New York. So I don't know in terms of like when we'll get going on the other side of the quarantine, but I was going to shoot 4 of the 8. So I have to figure out what my schedule will be with that to then figure out, assuming if I'm hearing correctly that they're putting a writer's room together on One of Us is Lying, that means it's moving forward. You know, it's all those puzzle pieces of schedule, but yeah.
You'll be reunited with Jamie Dornan.
I know. How crazy is that?
Nicest man in the universe, by the way.
But oh yeah, he's the best.
So nice.
Yeah.
That's been a long time coming.
Huh?
That's been a long time coming.
Yeah. No, it'll be cool. It'll be nice to work with him again.
I'm curious, did you always know that you want to do things behind the scenes, whether it was writing or producing or directing, or did that only happen in recent years?
I think it was always in there, you know. I mean, I used to write a lot when I was a kid. I mean, that's the biggest thing I've been trying to have the discipline to get back to. My mom used to have make me write a story for I used to have like write a book for my new teacher every year. It was really extensive.
Were
And
you a teacher's pet type?
oh yes. Oh my God. I was so annoying. But because of that, I like was in these like young authors contests and like I did a lot of stuff with writing when I was a kid, and then it kind of fell away the more I was acting. And then I did direct some stuff, and I directed some theater in high school, and I directed a lot of theater in college, and then I directed a couple small productions in LA when I first came out. And then I got so busy as an actor that kind of fell away. And I think in the back of my mind, I kind of always imagined myself directing films, and I was mostly intimidated by the technical stuff and kept thinking, well, when am I going to have time to go to film school? You know? And then I started realizing I was like living in a film school, and I had so many resources, and some of it I was learning just by watching it. And some of it I just, I was looking up film school curriculums and reading everything they would read and watching everything they would watch and watching lectures on things and watching and rewatching movies silently and then with commentary. And then I would go and I would ask questions of the DPs that I was working with and be like, wait, how did they shoot this? And what piece of equipment were they on? And, so I just started using the sets that I was on to be resources, to be my film school. And then they kind of rolled into, warning labels being my first sort of real experiment with all of it.
And was your first time, was it as challenging as you expected, more challenging, or did you find that like you just loved it?
I did just love it. I mean, it was weird. It was like I felt like my whole life suddenly made sense. It was hard. I mean, directing's hard. Don't get me wrong. Everything about it's hard. Like there's times I have conversations with my sister and she's like, this is so stressful. Are you sure you want to be doing this? And I'm like, no, yeah, I'm sure. But
and I don't know if people know you shot that in 2 days.
I know.
That whole short, yeah.
Crazy. Well, really, the whole diner was in 10 hours. And then the CDC part was in, I think, 4 hours. We had that lab, something like that. I mean, it was, yeah. I'm looking forward to someday being on a big enough budget that I'm not directing in a hurry. Like that's the dream. I'm like, I want one day to just direct not in a hurry.
What about on Euphoria? I would think that they would have a slight run and gun.
Well, only because it's so much. I mean, we had 24 scenes before the title card. It's, that's the amount of times you change locations, wardrobe, everything super quickly on that show. We had, I don't know, Sam counted, I think I had something like 600 setups in just my episode. Wow. And, that's a 14-day shoot we had little bits of extra stuff here and there where we had like all of the mall stuff for several episodes were all clumped together. So, but I only got 4 hours to shoot all my stuff in the mall. That's and insane. Only 2 hours did I have Cat. So I had to shoot everything without Cat and then shoot Cat. But the whole thing was about Cat. And I only had it for 2 hours. So, I mean, it was just, everything's always like, how do you do something with 18,000 impossible obstacles? And you're like, well, all right, well, something will happen and we'll figure it out.
You've worked with so many directors, and I know there's probably things you steal from the good ones, and then maybe people that I don't know. I actually don't know if you've had bad experiences with directors, but sometimes you learn the things that you don't want to do on a set. What do you think makes a good director?
I think in terms of thinking about the television directors that I've worked with, it's that they have an ability to adjust to the ecosystem that they've stepped into, because every show has a very different ecosystem. And if the directors have done enough homework to watch enough of the show to know like, oh, this is what they usually do here, and they don't really use their masters, but they do use a ton of close-ups, or they don't use a ton of close-ups, but they put really interesting inserts. It's like just to do enough homework to know the language of the show visually so that they're not wasting people's time, but also come in caring in a way where they like want it to be great, so it's like it's a really fine line. You don't want someone to suddenly be shooting like 18 to 20 hour days and going overtime and killing the budget because they've decided they're going to turn this into their next feature, and you're like, no, we're on episode 150, like just shoot the show. But you also don't want someone to not care, so it's like it's like this interesting balance that you're asking of this guest that comes in, where you want them to like know your world and come into it with you and be in it like they've always been there, but also like light you up and make you think and make it fresh, so it's a tricky line to walk. Like I don't admire like the directors who have to come in on these shows that have been running for a really long time, because it is a really tricky balance to ask of someone. But I think it's the combination of just like that intuition and preparedness that like makes you feel like, oh yeah, I trust this person, and like I'm happy to be with them for the next 8 days.
That must be so interesting on One of Us's line to get to come in on the ground floor and really like shape things with the pilot.
Yeah, it's like making a feature. I mean, that's what I'm excited about with shooting pilots is like every pilot's like a small feature. Because you're designing the visual identity and choosing the look and the vibe and the color palette and the actors, and obviously it's not just me choosing those things. It's a committee of people that are making those decisions, but they're looking to me to come in with the vision to achieve that. And it's fun. I mean, that part of it's really really fun to feel like you're like making a small feature.
By the way, I feel like I should say, I know I said it to you before, but belated happy birthday because you were one of the first people I know who had to have their birthday in quarantine. What was that experience like?
No, honestly, I had a great birthday. I wouldn't have changed anything. I think because like I told you, we are doing our best to make the most of a very odd situation. Um, I've really been embracing the time to be a little bit slower and a little bit more like, I don't know, low key, I guess. And I feel very lucky because I have my partner with me in quarantine, and so he made things really special and gave me breakfast in bed and cooked me lunch and made me dinner or brought me dinner from Pache and
Oh, I love pace, the best olives next to Madeo.
yes, yes, yes. Both are excellent for different reasons. So yeah, so I had all my favorite foods, and I had him with me, and then he'd surprised me and like called a bunch of my friends and got them to Zoom all at the same time, which was a little bit like chaotic, and I think a little more stressful than either of us realized because you feel like you were saying, you were like you want to make sure everybody's included, and I'm like, wait, I can't see everybody. I can see 9, but I can't see 12. And how are you? I felt like my like codependent thing
Yeah.
really kicked
Yep.
in. But it was just so nice to see everybody's faces and the fact that everybody took time to like step aside and do that. And so it was really nice, and I felt really loved, and it was great.
Well, I mean, we have time. What else are we doing? So
Right,
it's not too hard to call in.
right.
What do you think the first thing you're going to do is when this is all over?
Oh man, I mean, there's a lot of maintenance things that I feel like are creeping up on me,
Hmm.
but luckily I'm a pretty low key person that way. Like I'm not, luckily, I don't have any gray hair. So my blonde hair is sort of growing in, but it's kind of dark blonde now. So you don't really notice. It's like, it's not that bad unless you're looking that close.
You
Um,
haven't gotten to the hair cutting stage yet, I've noticed.
no, no, I'm not going to cut my hair. I know about
I've done it like 6 times.
that. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Brave. Yeah, no, no, no. I know better than to cut my own hair. I cut my Barbie's hair once when I was like 5, and I was like, no, that was a bad idea. She has a mohawk, and we are not cutting hair. Um, it was not my calling. Yeah, no, I mean, like even just stuff like getting your nails done. It's like I always get like ingrown things in my and I'm like sitting in there trying to like figure out how to do this to myself. I'm like, man, they make this look so easy. This is not easy. Um, and I don't know. I mean, I think we're getting to the point now where so many family members have been quarantined long enough that we're going to start combining family a little bit,
Right.
which will be nice. I mean, we've all really been so isolated that we know we're healthy. So I'll probably see my brother and his wife and they'll probably come stay with us for a little bit. Um, I do really miss my sister and her kids. So I feel like as soon as they start to feel like they've been quarantined long enough and we've been quarantined long enough, we might see them a little bit. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's mostly like seeing family and doing little maintenance-y things, and we definitely would love to see our osteopath.
I know. I want a massage so bad too.
Oh my God. I didn't realize like how often both Jerry and my bodies like defy us. And I don't even know how else to put it. And luckily, like, cause my hip was out and it was bad. Like I didn't even realize how bad it was until it went back in. But I've been doing like yin yoga, and I've been stretching, and I've been soaking in salt baths, and I've been rolling around on yoga balls. I've done it all. Like, and I went for a hike, and as I was hiking and listening to a health meditation, I was really committed to trying to heal this hip. It went back in. I
Oh,
felt it. I like stepped, and it was just right. And I was like, the relief I don't think I knew how much pain I was in until I wasn't in the pain, like I had like
Wow.
adjusted, because it was also like shooting all the way up my neck and all the way down my leg. And so luckily, after very committed rounds of yin yoga, meditation, hiking, rolling around on yoga balls, I got my hip back. And poor Jerry, like his ankle's been like jammed up, and then his wrist was jammed up. So then I was jokingly like trying to, well, not jokingly, he was like, hey babe, I found these videos on YouTube how to crack a wrist. Do you want to watch them and see if you can fix it? I was like, oh my God, I don't want to hurt you. So I'm like watching these how-to chiropractic. I was like, oh my God. So then I'm trying to do the like thing with his wrist. And then we reached out to our osteopath, who's amazing. And he's like, actually, the motion is right. He was like really proud of my motion. He's like, you just needed to like commit to the follow through of like holding the spot. Anyway, he walked me through it, and I was able to release his wrist.
Get out.
No, I mean, seriously, this guy's amazing. He talks me through how to do it. Now, his ankle, it's another story. We're still working on the ankle move. It was so elaborate. Like, he had to lay on the side of the bed with his leg hanging off, and I had to, like, wrap my leg around his leg while I was facing away and try to, like, lift at the same time. I mean, it was, and I'm sweating, and I'm on, what do you call it? Speakerphone or
Oh
whatever.
my God.
Osteopath.
You don't even have video.
He's like, you're probably sweating by now. I was like, I'm totally sweating. He's like, take a break. You're going to need all your strength. It's like, oh my God, Fabrice, I need a seminar. So I think the first thing probably Jerry and I will both do is go get an adjustment as soon as we're done and get our bodies back in order.
Well, it sounds like you developed a new skill. So, if
Not at all.
acting, directing, producing, all the things you do don't work out.
Oh, God. Definitely not the top of the list. This was like a real dire situation.
Well, that's where all those years of medical training
Oh, God.
from house come in handy. Did people ever ask you to diagnose them?
No, I mean, you know what would happen is it would be when I was on a plane. I would be on a plane, and there would be, an announcement like, we need help with the patient. If there's a doctor on the plane, please ring your call bell. And everyone would look at me. And then they'd start looking at me with like such disdain and judgment, like,
why aren't you helping?
God. And I was like, not really, guys. I could kill that person. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an actor. So yeah, I've endured some like real disdainful looks.
Just means you were very convincing as a doctor.
I guess so.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I feel like I have to ask, even though I know the answer, because people will berate me for not asking. Tell us everything that's going to happen on This Is Us from here on out. Yeah.
Sure. Even if I knew. No, I really don't know. It's part of what I love about the show is like they keep all of us guessing as much as they keep the audience guessing. I love being a part of the show, though. I mean, it's a character that I feel like has really touched me as a person, and all of the characters that I've played obviously have, just because I've spent so much time with them. But something in particular about Cassidy has really kind of changed me, I think, and that's so much to do with Dan Fogelman and the writing and all of the writers in the writers' room. It's the psychology and the thoughtfulness that goes into these characters is so overwhelming and amazing.
And another great cast.
Oh man,
I mean, that cast is flawless, top to bottom.
And just also perfectly cast. Like they're all right. They're all really talented and really right for those characters, But I kept telling Dan, I was like, listen, I love being here, and anytime you guys want me here, I'm happy to be here. And then I had sort of gotten hints from him that it seemed like there was going to be a world where they had found a way to keep her around. And then he has said now kind of publicly a couple times that like Cassidy is going to continue to be a part of Kevin's life. So we'll see. I don't know what that means. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know how much. But I can only repeat what I've seen him say publicly, which is that she's going to continue to mean something to him.
That's so cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to seeing whatever you do next or appear in next. I'm a friend as well as a fan. Was there anything you wanted to add?
No, I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to be healthy, and it's nice to have a good chat.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.